We're doing truth voices like thunder. So the grab the Hilltappers, sound like no other. In the underground, we're fighting the fights, pouring our passion into this light. Challenging the north with great called the rulers. Raise up your glass, let's shatter their fools.
Look at that. We are back on the Brewery Underground podcast. I just saw a countdown and everything, Scott Turon. We're using a new platform. We are going high tech. How exciting this is.
I hope it's better. I hope we don't ruin anything and our audio comes out good. Because we have a couple of guests we're going to get to in a minute. We're really trying to impress them. So we want to make sure we do a good job for them.
Yeah. They are impressive. You know, we're just going to say it right out the bat. We've got the Hilltappers with us tonight.
We got the Hilltappers, Tom Peterson and Brad Knoop. Did I pronounce both of those correctly?
Actually, yes, but...
Go ahead and say it.
Oh, you want the intro?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are
guys have done
here
this
live. Say the city in which you live, because you know I've talked about it several times.
No. You say the city. We've heard you say the city before.
Make it say it.
Live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
How's that?
All right.
Yeah, I know this is a visual aid,
We have visual aids.
so this may not work for everyone listening, but see, it's spelled Louisville. So now you're saying Louisville, okay, because it's named after King Louis. I get that. A lot of people say Louisville.
I never have.
Just dumb. But the correct pronunciation is Louisville.
Louisville.
Louisville. There you go. You get like you have marbles in your mouth. You're just saying Louisville.
Let's say Louisville.
Yeah.
You guys may or may not know this. There is a city in Tennessee outside of Knoxville called Louisville, spelled exactly the same way.
Yep. I think there's in Mississippi and Colorado too. They just don't get it.
And yet
Really?
pronounced the wrong way.
Why do they do that to us?
It's one syllable, folks. It's one syllable.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's true.
It's making one syllable.
So Scott was asking what I was beginning this podcast with tonight.
Yeah.
And there is something I'm going to talk about because Scott's been radio silent on this the last couple of days.
Because it's not over yet. It's not
I'm
over yet,
going
but
with
go
the
ahead.
fact that the Cincinnati Reds have beaten the New York Yankees 2 games in a row the last couple of days. And tonight they play again as we're recording this. However, the Reds have already taken the series. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's great. A rookie pitcher last night, right?
That's right. Yeah. He struck out like the first 5 Yankee batters. I mean, even
Great.
made Aaron Judge whiff, for God's sakes.
I know. And you guys are still in 4th place.
About 4 games out. That's right.
That's all right. No, you guys are hot right now. And I just didn't want to get swept. I didn't want to talk shit last night because, man, I'll tell you what, I was driving down the road listening to the end of that game and I threw my damn phone across the car when they walked in at Dela Cruz.
It was awesome. But Scott has been radio silent on me the last couple of days, where if the tables was turned, I would hear about it nonstop.
What did I say anything when we were in Cincinnati a couple years ago?
Yes.
And the Yankees did not.
Yes.
They swear I did not.
I heard about it
from the
nonstop. We were driving back to Nashville,
He's full
going
of
through
shit.
your city of Louisville.
I mean, that part's true. Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
You're so much more of a gentleman than, Yankees fan. Sorry, Dad.
Well,
No, that's all right. Well, yeah,
we know
it's
the
okay.
Cincinnati tradition after all, because they are the oldest team in baseball. So of course we're going to be the classier, right?
Right.
Now, wait a minute. Is this the guy that filmed himself with a broom taunting the Cleveland?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's classy. It's a class act, man.
Yeah. You're right.
Hey, the broom was handed to me and there was alcohol involved.
Yeah, I remember a video at the game where he was flipping off. I think the word "fuck you" came out of his mouth.
No, it didn't.
No, that wasn't you. Okay. It was
No,
someone else.
that didn't happen. No, that didn't happen.
No.
Guys, what are you all drinking tonight? Because we can't begin this podcast without drinking something.
All right.
You just didn't bring water, right?
No, I didn't know.
It's got water in it.
Did you know that the sink has water?
Yeah.
I didn't know where that came from. No, tonight, listen, we actually went and built a 6-pack for the event, but we were pre-gaming while we were trying to get up and running. And then our pre-game is, this is actually a beer that our good friend Armando sent to us.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thanks.
And it's quite good. And Brad is drinking a local Pils, which is by Apocalypse Brewing. Tiny place, but really great beers and the best working beer cat on the planet.
So that's where we're
Fantastic.
starting.
That's where we're starting. We'll let you know
Starting.
some of the, because we got some that are local, some that are Cincinnati, some around.
Well, good. Steve, what have you got?
Well, it was in our beer exchange from our friends from Cleveland. I actually had, this is from an independent brewer called Trogs. It's the downright awesome lager. Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
great story behind that, and we're
All
actually
right.
trying to get them on. So I think we'll maybe talk about that somewhere down the road. I have got one. It's called Road Bowler, and it's from Johnson City Brewing out of Johnson City, Tennessee. And the reason for this is because our friend Eric Latham, who is the owner of Johnson City Brewing and the president of the Tennessee Brewers Guild, just walked across the state of Rhode Island to raise money for St. Jude. So
Wow.
and he finished yesterday over a period of 2 days. So this is for
Wow.
him. Cheers to
Cheers to
Eric
that.
for that.
Yes.
So this is in honor of him.
Guys, by the way, I think it's cicada season where you all are. Do I hear cicadas in the background?
No, actually, it ended last week. It was 6 weeks, the loudest 6 weeks I've ever been through. It's crazy.
Or is it
Crazy,
just
isn't it?
crickets I'm hearing right now?
I don't know what that is.
That's not coming from
That's
here.
coming from Tennessee.
It probably is. It's probably the crackling of the pavement around here since it's about 110 degrees outside.
Yeah,
Kidding.
That's true.
Yeah, cicadas were fun. Not really. His hat, like where he lives, he had them all over. He's got a very dense tree populated area, but I don't have any trees in my neighborhood, and so you couldn't really hear them at all.
They were swarming like gnats out front. It was
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, they're
It's
nuts.
good to
We
have
had
people
them here.
play. It's good to be able to use my deck again.
Yeah. We had them here, last year, Steve?
Yeah, they were all over the place
Oh, it's insanity.
for about a month, and then I
Yeah.
remember going away. I think I went to Cincinnati. It was around Memorial Day weekend, and I came back, and they were all gone. It was like instantly. So maybe I drove them away. I don't know.
You did something.
Hey, Steve, you know Nashville Brew Pass, right?
I do.
Yes, you
Nashville
have-
Brew Pass?
You have a booklet. We talked about them recently. There it is. You got it handy. Look at that. Well, they've got another event coming, and this is a little bit of a teaser. It's coming in August, and on August 4th, and it's going to be at Black Abbey. And we're both fans of Black Abbeys.
Yeah, we
Anyway.
are too.
Yeah, that's right. You guys were there recently.
Great.
So they're going to have an event. We don't know what the event is exactly, but we know what the last one was, and the one coming up on July 2nd is going to be. So if it's along those lines with free beer, everyone should sign up for it. So anyway, I used mine last night, Steve. I went to Yazoo. You guys went there recently as well.
We did.
Matter of fact, if you had a
Great
Nashville
time.
Brew Pass, you could have got stamped in both of those locations. So I got to use
Well.
mine last night there too. So it gives me a total of 2 stamps so far because I have to remember to bring the thing.
That's always the problem.
That
We
is the
have
problem.
a passport similar to that for a little.
Yeah.
And
Like it's in the car. Like I leave it in the car. I just forget to bring it in sometimes. But I'm doing better at that. So anyway, but the reason I went to Yazoo is because I was on my way to Half Batch. Did you guys make it there this time?
we did not.
Okay, that's further north. But anyway, they're celebrating the World Beer Cup awards that they got. They got the gold medal for their Falcon in 2023, and they got the bronze medal in 2025 for the Falcon, which is a Scottish ale. So they're having a celebration last night, and shot up there with them and hung out for a little bit. And we all got a free pour and had a couple of pints with them and talked to Nate a little bit and just wanted to go up there and support them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
You've recommended that place before. We just didn't have time to get there. And my wife and I, we're coming in September to the Highland Games
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
up there. And oh yeah, because I don't know if y'all have heard of that show, The Outlander. It's a period piece about whatever, I don't know. Anyway, my wife's in love with that show and the star of it, and so we have to. This is the closest I'm going to get her to Scotland. So she can go play with the Highland cows, and I'll go drink beer.
There you go.
Okay. Well, the good news for you guys is you're coming this way. It's north of here, right? So it'd be one of the
Yes.
first ones. Even before you got to Yazoo, it's on the way.
Right.
Need
Yep.
someone
Highly
to keep
recommend.
company while she's at the high
Yeah.
elevation. So, I mean,
Man,
You might know a few people that'll meet you, you know?
there's a beer, there's a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good spot. So anyway, all right, on with the show.
On with the show.
I heard a rumor about you guys.
oh, it's probably
It's probably
true.
true. It's probably true. You know how these rumors get started, but I heard you guys like beer. I heard through the grapevine you guys are big beer fans.
I mean,
Here's the shocking thing, though. We used to just drink a lot of really cheap, bad beer.
Yeah.
And we've only been doing the craft thing we're coming up on 3 years. And to us, it's like, no, we've been doing this like 5-7 years, right? And it's like, no, it started in like September 22.
yep. But it was kind of a like, I like Oktoberfest. You like Oktoberfest? Yeah, well, let's go drink an Oktoberfest beer. And then we were off and running.
Yep.
And it's like you found this newfound thing, right? You found this thing. Like,
Yeah.
where's this been all my life?
The best hobby ever.
Yes. Yes.
It ain't cheap. I think golf's cheaper than this, but it's okay.
That is very true. But see, we have to go back to the beginning of you guys because not when you were born necessarily, not that far back, but for all the people, you know, the millions and millions of people that are listening across the country and they're saying, how did the Hilltappers come together? Well, it started where? In college in Bowling Green, Kentucky? Is that right?
That's yeah. We actually we met in high school. Probably I don't know if it was freshman year, somewhere between freshman and sophomore year. Our groups sort of probably merged, and so we were kind of casual friends in high school, and then we both found out that we were both going to Western Kentucky University. Back then, you didn't have all this online portal where you could find roommates and stuff. You just kind of got stuck with somebody unless you requested. So we're like, hey, I know you, you know me. You want to room together when we go to Western? And so we did that. And since then, yeah, we've been tight. So that's where the Hilltappers come from. Western Kentucky University Hilltoppers, with the best mascot ever.
Yes. Big Red. Big Red is everywhere.
That's right.
He's a national
Well-
treasure.
Yes.
Well, before you guys discovered craft beer just 3 years ago, what were you doing together then, or just drinking just normal?
Yo, what
craft
were you
beer?
drinking then?
Look, it was whatever light beer that you picked up. It wasn't a very thoughtful decision to go because a lot of it tastes the same. And I don't have a favorite of that anymore, frankly. I mean, if I'm drinking that kind of beer, it's probably Ultra or something like that.
Yeah, it's we listen in college on a budget. My go-to
Well, I
was Beast Light, the Milwaukee's Best Light. Because you'd get a case of that for way back then, for just ridiculously cheap. So I made it through college on Milwaukee's Best Light. But my go-to trash beer outside that has been Miller Lite. So
Dude, that's true. Back in the day at Western, you could get a case of the Beast for about $7.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you could get a Papa John's large pizza for like $3.99. That was just like, I mean, and that's, of
Yeah.
course we were going to the gym every other day after that. But,
They just a nice balance, trying to balance it out, right?
but yeah, thanks for the memory lane trip there, because that starts to shape you into what you end up in, which is real beer and just what the respect that comes with trying different things. Like when we started this 3 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd be drinking IPAs, I would have laughed in your face.
Same.
It's just like there was no way. I didn't like the smell, didn't like the taste. But once you start to appreciate it as a beer, and then you develop a taste for it, or you don't, or you try others, and that's kind of where we've gone from there, really.
Yeah, and a lot of that's in IPAs like that are like there's always a gateway one. And maybe with any style, there's a gateway. You're like, I hate hoppy, and then you find one, and you realize, hey, that's not so bad, and then you find another, and then you're on this journey.
well,
I drank IPAs not religiously over the last few years, and we got into craft beer. Normally, if I'd go to a brewery, I wasn't seeking out IPAs all the time. Sometimes I would have them, but very rarely did I ever buy IPAs and just bring them home and drink them in my house. And then when we started the podcast and we were doing beer exchanges, a lot of what people gave me were a lot of IPAs. I like a lot of them now, and of course, you guys also, since you were in Cincinnati with me, uh, know that I've been on the West Coast IPA tour, and that's sort of the culmination of how it's all come together, you know, in the IPA world when when I've been doing it.
Well, I think the key, the gateway, so to speak, for us to get into IPAs, because I was the same way. It's like, okay, I get craft beers. I love craft beers, but what is this? I was convinced it was some sort of joke, you know? It's like, no, it's the Emperor has no clothes. No, this is the best kind of beer. And I'm like, really? Because I've got taste buds. So the key was the flight, getting a flight.
Yeah.
Is God, there's nothing better than going to a new brewery and picking out a flight, just sample some things. And so I was convinced, look, people loved IPAs so much that I just, no matter how big the flight, I always made sure at least one of them was an IPA. And, I still just couldn't find it. And then eventually I kind of found that when you find the balance where the hoppiness is less of just an overwhelming skunky thing and becomes more of a interesting balance with something else, then that's your gateway, right? And then it's like, oh, I get it. This is a kind of a sophisticated thing. And since then, now there's still IPAs we absolutely hate, like any beer. Ones we just hate, but yeah, honestly, now I have no fear of.
Is it just certain like brands of IPAs, or just the ones that you've had you just didn't like, or is it like a certain, maybe past a certain IBU, like extremely hoppy you don't like, or it's just random ones?
Yeah, all of that. But like the first thing that on this trip, like I noticed first when I figured out what IBU meant.
Yeah.
Like then I realized, and then once you know those numbers, then you're like, yeah, I can't go above that. And this one's maybe pretty good. And so yes, so IBU is the first thing really that I started to gauge.
Oh, we love it when they list the IBU.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not all the time though either, is it?
Right.
No, it's not. And look, hazies are a good gateway. If it's hazy, it's generally going to have a fair amount of some kind of, I don't want to say tropical, but yeah, it's going to have some kind of almost like a fruit balance, whether it's like a mango type thing or something. And that's when I first started really getting into it. So I tend to lean towards hazies a bit, but you can find a good one in almost any kind now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're always kind of citrusy,
Yes. Yep. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I said tropical.
Same.
Nope, you were right. Same thing. Right on par.
Kind of. I don't, and I couldn't tell you what hops are used in what, unless it, again, on the beer says they use Cascade, blah, 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 it's just, I don't know what that means still.
Yeah.
Can you guys recall? I mean, because there's wherever you go, there's been breweries around for 18, 20 years or whatever. Can you guys recall? Were you at any breweries before 3 years ago?
This guy, because didn't think about going to a brewery before. Like I said, we were talking about Oktoberfest beers, but I think you'd been to one.
So yeah, my youngest son's travel ball coach loved craft beers, and we always, when we go to tournaments out of town, and everybody get together and drink beer, and we're drinking Ultra or whatever, and he's over here with, a hot chili pepper, blah, 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 chocolate, and we laughed at him. Right. And then finally he said, go with me. And so we were at a tournament in Indianapolis, but we were kind of on the southwest side, and we went to Mooresville. There was a brewery in Mooresville called Black Dog. And I like that because I have a black dog anyway. And he said, now I just want you to drink it and just, eliminate every preconception you have about any of them, and just enjoy it as a beverage. And then that's the first time an IPA really like, okay, I get it. I get it now. And then every town we went to, and we traveled quite a bit, we would find, and there was two of them that I can't remember the names now. They were in Kennesaw, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, and wherever we would go, we would find a brewery. And I started to at least appreciate an IPA, even though I would hurry back to the lager or the amber ale or something like that. So yeah, so that was kind of the initial into being able to drink those beers. But it was still, it was that, but outside of that, I wouldn't go to any of our local places just to try an IPA. It was kind of like, well, I'm going to go by myself. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. And then, hey, let's go drink beer.
We've got a buddy, Michael Stokes, and he swears he doesn't like IPAs at this point. But meanwhile, it's the most checked in style of beer by far that he's had. But he still continues to say he doesn't like them. And I'm like, man, you can't stop. You can't continue to say you don't like them anymore. You're drinking them all the time.
Well, you guys went to, when the last time you were here in Nashville was just recently, because I met up with you. But the day before, you had gone basically to the oldest brewery in Nashville that stands still today, was Blackstone.
Yep.
And I told you guys this, that when I moved here in '98, I worked down the street from them. They also had a restaurant at that time, and I remember I wish I would have documented it then. Because you did feel kind of fancy. You went in there and you got some different, what was considered then craft beer, but I don't even think, at that time, if you would have said to me, this kind of beer is going to take off, I would have said, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's going to take off. But nobody else really in town, maybe one or two other places, was really selling anything like that.
That place was, and the operation now it's pretty impressive. Like, they got a lot going on there.
And they had one of the best beers I had on the entire trip, which was the Dark Matter, the black IPA.
Yeah, I love.
Let me tell you, I didn't have a black IPA before about, definitely in the last year, probably about 8 months. And in the past 8 months, every black IPA I've come across has been delicious. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
didn't know it was a thing.
It's a style there's not enough of.
You're right, and I think was the one at Araya Brewing here in Louisville, WRY, great little place, terrific beer, and I think that may have been the first black IPA I ever had, and I was like, more, please.
And he specifically said, I'm not doing it like a traditional black IPA, because black IPA, it's usually scorched hops, which is why it's actually black, and that. So he's like, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I don't know what he did, but Scott, you came up for the tailgate. I'm sorry, not tailgate, Tailspin Beer Fest, and it was called the Luna Noir.
That's right.
And everybody who sampled that was like, "Oh, yeah, this is fantastic."
Yeah, it's. I don't think I've had a bad one. I think like you guys.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do one, you end up doing it right for whatever reason, or it never sees the light of day. Maybe too if it doesn't come out good. No, it's great. Blackstone, like that location, by the way, that's not. I don't know if it's always been the brewery, but it's not their original location. Steve, you remember the one over on the West End?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's where I used to go when I first moved here. And I worked down the street from it, so it was a restaurant and a brewery at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Great bar, too. It had a massive bar all the way around it, kind of an English-style bar. Great spot. I missed that spot. But, yeah, we're glad they're still making the beer.
I think they have an advantage in town that maybe a lot of breweries don't have, is that they brewed some beer. They don't put out a whole lot of new stuff all the time, a little bit throughout the year. But because they're so established and people are used to going there and getting what they want and liking it, I think they've been able to stay the course. Whereas if they maybe would have came about 3 or 4 years ago, I think they probably would have had to evolve a little bit more to, keep it going, because we've seen that with a lot of other breweries. You have to keep that now to keep people
Yeah. And then you add the Nashville Brewing. Did you guys have some of the Nashville Brewing beer while you were there too? On top of that, and it's great.
I can't remember which one of theirs were Nashville.
Yeah,
Brewing.
I don't think so. No, I think we just stuck with Blackstone. Yeah, guys, it's only been like 4 weeks ago, and I can't. It's just like
that's.
How many did we hit?
You probably had
9 in 2 days.
Yeah, I think we did about 9.
Yeah, those are impressive numbers.
We enjoyed that. Like last year when we came down, it was all about. It was a body count, man. We just wanted to go as many as we could get because we didn't know when we'd get back. And then
our first road trip to Cincinnati, we did 9 in one day.
that too, like and I think we had a revelation at some point where let's enjoy, like the Cincinnati trip when we hooked up with you guys. We were at places for a while. We were chilling. We were talking, having a good time.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah. So we learned.
Yeah. No, you'll end up like us, or maybe you are. You start going somewhere, you start adding days. It started out as 3 days. Now we're 8 days in.
And you guys, I mean, because you were with us, I mean, you were there for most of the trip, and we were up there, and we talked about it on the Cincinnati Takeover podcast. We went to the brewery, and we went to what was the first Fabled, and we knew we weren't going to be there probably that long, and then the Reds game being moved up, expedited that, and then just going to since we ended up going back to Rheingeist and only staying there for an hour, a half hour. I mean, that's short for us. I mean, most of the time when Scott and I go to a brewery, especially if we're traveling together, it's almost minimum of 2 hours. It's very rare that we just stay somewhere for, an hour and a half or even 45 minutes. I don't know how, because you guys have done that before. I've seen you check in like going up to Cincinnati. And I think you guys did that about a year or so ago, where you hit like 7 breweries in
No.
a day or something.
You selling them short. It was 9, right?
Well, the first time we went to Cincinnati together, we hit 9 in one day. The second time we may have hit 8, but we regretted it. It was definitely one of those situations. Our buddy Mike was with us, and when we were transitioning, like we drove to the first couple, and then we parked the car at the hotel, and we'd hit another one, and then when we were walking to the next one, it was like he's like, I think I'm getting kind of drunk, and of course, being a Gen Xer, I instantly just bullied him. I was like, oh, nah, Kyle, what are you talking about? We got so many more stops to go. But yeah, those last 3 stops, I don't really recall enjoying the beer as much as just consuming the beer.
Yeah. And you look back at your photos and stuff or whatever, your check-ins the next day, and like, oh, we actually were there. I remember being there. Here's a history of what we did.
Right.
What are some other things you like to get on flights? And do you always try to get like a balanced flight? I love when Steve comes back with one, it's got a nice color variation between the different things. I always comment, hey, it's a nice color variation because you got different styles. I don't do a good job of that. Sometimes I come back and mine might be all the same color. They're all different beers, but do you guys try to look for that and try to vary the styles when you go into a new place?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I definitely want to try some different things. I don't want to just get a whole bunch of anything because I can always go back for more.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to try to find just a basic, like a blonde ale or a Pilsner. I don't do a lot of porters because maybe in winter, when it's a little bit more porter season, you'll try some of those. Barrel ages for me they're a mixed bag because sometimes the bourbon whiskey will just kind of take over the beer.
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I like.
Hey, and I do want to comment real quick on porters because I like porters. And when we were at Narrow Path, and they had a coconut porter, which I did not get. And for that very reason, it was such a nice day out. It was a little warmer, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick to something a little lighter. We're sitting outside. I think a porter might just be a little bit too heavy. As we were drinking the whole day, I decided to opt out on the porter, although I think it probably would have been a good choice, and I will get it eventually.
Yeah, those barrel-aged stouts, too, what's funny about them? Sometimes you get them and they're still only 6%, and sometimes you get them, they're like 12, which I love, but you got to be careful with those and kind of when you have them during the day and how many. Yeah. So the barrel-aged stuff is good, but man, they can get you there quickly, a little too quickly sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I always like to find a good amber. Always looking for a good amber. And what else? Bock beers, of course, they're very seasonal, but Bock beers are fantastic.
I just I always save one spot for the most obscure, weirdest one that I would be like, I'm never ever drinking that, and then I'm gonna get it on a flight just for yucks, to try it.
When we went to Brink and they had that king cake, and I got it, knowing it was some kind of fruited, spiced something. Tom, you loved it, and that's one of those weird things. Like, I'm gonna get it because it's weird, and I don't know how weird it was until I drank it, but like that's something kind of off the beaten path a little bit. Let me get it, and you love that thing. I didn't like it so much.
It was a perfect balance. Look, I don't like. We love Christmas beers. We like transitioning from Oktoberfest into holiday beers. It's a good time to be alive. And then you transition into the Irish beers for St. Patrick's Day. But that one, it was sweet and spiced, but it wasn't heavy to me, as I recall. I definitely couldn't drink, I don't know if I could take a full pint of that, but on the flight, it was, I thought it was a perfect balance of kind of having that sweet spice flavor, but still being light enough to enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's what a flight is perfect for, too, at the
Yes.
same time. You get something in that size, you're like, I'm not sure I can get through 4 or 5 ounces. I mean, I'll do that, but
Well,
don't
and
give
you
me
guys,
6.
and none of you guys braved it, and I had it before when we all went to Sonder, and I got that root beer at Sonder. This is kind of collab that they have, taken back to Kings Island days, and I had it a couple of years ago, but there was no way that I was going to get that on more than a flight, and I probably won't get it again. I mean, I still rate it, somewhat high, but I'm like, it's a novelty beer, not something that I normally would drink.
Speaking of beers, I think it's time for a reload.
Okay.
The divot there at Sonder, like I still think about that one because as a summer beer and just the way the flavors come together in that, divot is.
For those
really,
that don't know, divot is basically an Arnold Palmer ale. It's like tea and lemonade in an ale. And you hear that and you're like, this has got to be awful. There's no way that can work. As I say, it's either an abomination or a revelation. And I'll be damned if the first time I got that was in a can at Party Source up in Northern Kentucky. And I went home. I was like, I just got to try this because it's going to be terrible. And it's like an amazing summer beer. I mean,
It is.
how many I could drink because I can't get them locally. So I have to like get them when I'm up there. But it's so good.
What are some beer styles you guys totally stay away from, if there are any at all?
I don't know if you count or not, but I don't do sours. I'm not.
Like never, like no sours at all.
He's anti-sour.
If someone super recommends it, I will try it. Okay.
And are you talking like the fruited kind of sweet stuff? That
it's
bread and
you think no, if it's fruited, that's fine. But if it's called a sour, if we drink it and it's like the sour, once the sour kicks in, any goodwill on the front half of that taste of that drink is just blown away by the sour at the end of it. But,
okay.
Sometimes you don't know because sometimes it says fruit. It's considered a sour, but it's fruited, and there is kind of a difference between that.
That's true. We just at Awry, they just launched one. He did a collab with Mile Wide here in Louisville, and it's called Confection Connection, and it is a raspberry cheesecake sour. And our favorite brewer at Awry, T-Mart, he was like, I'm not going to do a cheesecake beer. I'm not going to do it. And they're like, oh, come on, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, but I'm going to kind of make sure it's not too cheesecake and everything. And it's called a sour, but listen, the only sour is the flavor of the raspberry in there, and it's nothing overwhelming at all. It's such a good balance. Once again, and it's an 8 something ouncer, so they serve it in 10-ounce servings, but it's really good. Now, I don't know if I could drink more than 10 ounces at a time, but it's really good. So yeah, it happens. And these peanut butter and jelly things, look, I don't consider those necessarily sour. Some of them just taste like peanut butter and jelly. And while that's still not a beer to me, it's like, yeah, I could drink a can of that, but then that's going to be.
Yeah. And I really wish there was a divide between that stuff, which they're fruited, but they're not sours. That's just a fruited whatever. It's fruit punch in a lot of ways, but there are traditional sour beers like a Barrique, Steve, or Yazoo does that Embrace the Funk, or like that really mouth puckering, like whoa, wild ale thing. Now that's a sour.
Well,
peanut butter and jelly stuff.
Sours too that we know, and you're talking about Cincinnati. I don't know if you guys have been to or had any beer from Urban Artifact, which that's all they serve is sours up there.
Right. And that's why I haven't been there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a unique place. You really, really have to be into those kind of sours. Yeah. And I've had a few of that. Well, we went there last year, Scott and I, and some of the other beer friends up there. We went there. And I know I had some of their cans over the years, and they're hit and miss, man. I mean, it kind of goes back to that. You can get a 12-ounce can and go, yeah, I don't know, this is a little bit too much for the. A little goes a long way on some of this stuff.
I know, but at least at Urban Artifact, you can drink beer at church.
Yeah.
Get into the our special cooler.
Yeah, what's next for you guys? And I got
I
learned.
Hold on, we have a special cooler.
Dude. Does that guy look familiar?
I believe.
It's our official Spence Lamont brand cooler. By the way, so I can't believe you went through 2 podcasts and Spence Lamont never came up, because we met somebody in Cincinnati who has changed our lives. His name, he's
Right.
he's got an official Hilltapper logo now because he's if you look carefully down there, he's the official Hilltappers correspondent.
Thank you very much.
Steve Sullivan's superhero when he breaks out into it. His name is Spence Lamont.
I think
Well,
he was waiting
yeah,
till you guys
so
came on.
so we'll explain where the origin of Spence Lamont came about, because it was actually a conversation. I think initially you guys came and Brad used to work in broadcasting. I used to work in broadcasting. We were sitting there at a table, and I said, I remember back in the day, if I ever would have made it to a network, I would change my name. And for some reason, I still remember the name. It was like a network name that I would change it to. I never came up with a character of it, but it was like Spence Lamont. And I always thought that would be like a great network name. Like,
The moment that name came out and he started doing the voice, it
Yeah.
changed the entire trip.
Yeah.
It was like, what? First off, listen, it's hard to come up with great names, okay? And Spence Lamont, I mean, who comes up with that name?
Yeah.
It's an amazing name, and so he would do that. So then for the rest of the trip, we just made him constantly do that.
well,
He'd go in and out of character.
Yes.
and the funny thing is, I always thought, what would Spence Lamont sound like? And it would probably have to be, for people that you'd have to go back a long time to remember the TV show Mary Tyler Moore, but the old Ted Baxter. And then you combine it with like Les Nessman on WKRP, and it would be like someone that's sounded network, but also stating the obvious. Like, here we are on the Brewery Underground podcast, reporting live, drinking beer. The beer, it's cold. On a hot summer day in Nashville, Tennessee, Spence Lamont reporting.
Absolutely amazing.
Everyone needs to go check out that video. And I think you guys posted it where we're at Rheingeist, and Tom, you started it, and we all said like one word and went around and he got to Steve and he goes, Spence Lamont. He nodded his head. I love that.
Like it made sense at all. It didn't
That
matter.
was great.
It's the greatest 10-second video ever recorded.
You guys,
I
you
love
guys created I only came up with the name. You guys helped me create like what the character of Spence Lamont would actually be.
We will keep Spence Lamont alive. Trust me.
I love it.
Waiting for the comic book.
Do you know what's really funny? So every time I don't watch like the network news religiously, but the guy that would remind me of a Spence Lamont character is the network guy on ABC News, David Muir at night. When I see him, he reminds me of like, oh my God, there's terror in the streets tonight. There are lightning bugs everywhere in New York City. So I think Spence Lamont would be out there going, in the heat tonight of downtown Nashville, people are sweating and they've been advised to drink water. Now back to you.
Now,
Yes,
not to
classic.
taunt you guys,
Oh,
but
we are.
we've just reloaded our
we're
beers,
taunting.
and we specifically got 2 Great Lake beers because we can buy them here.
My God. See, that's not out of respect. That's taunting. That's exactly what it is. What do you have?
Well, we got the Elliott Ness, which is a tremendous amber.
Love it. Love
I've
it.
never seen, until I went to get this, I've never seen their Mexican lager.
Yep.
What's that one
Is that
called?
the Conway?
It's just called
No.
Mexican lager.
Yeah.
Mexican
yeah.
lager. I'm sorry. I thought you said the Conway.
No, the Conway's their Irish beer.
Which is
correct?
delicious.
Yeah.
Irish
Okay.
one. Yep. I actually had it for the first time while we were up there, and I swear I'd had it before. I guess I'd seen the bottle, but I never had gotten it. At least never checked it in.
Hey, hang on a second, guys. Can you hold on a minute? Because I'm going to go get some beer. Hold on. All right. I'll be right back.
Time is
Rookie-
out on the floor.
Rookie move. Rookie move.
That's right. He didn't have his Spence Lamont cooler handy.
Way to go, superhero.
I learned from
good.
the happy hour we did, man. I was like, you think that's gonna be enough? No, add some more.
Yeah, like I said, if the cooler runs out, the fridge is right there.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's great.
No, we're not really taunting you. I mean, we are taunting you because that's what we do. But also, we know how you enjoy Great Lakes, and
Yes.
we got to get it to Middle Tennessee. So
We got to. Yes. No, we appreciate that. I'm working on another I'm going to work on another video for like putting on our social media for that account.
Yeah.
We've been a little busy, but yeah, we're going to keep up the pressure. And he's coming back on with us in September, so we'll get an update in September.
Is there a deadline to make a decision on this, or is this just
No,
an
we just
ongoing effort?
it's just an ongoing effort. We just want it,
Okay.
and if we ever get it, we're going to take full credit for it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you all had the channel first for it, so
I mean, they're parade.
that's right. Yeah.
By the way,
There you go.
Gold Rush. There you go.
There you go.
Yes, we've enjoyed some of those not long after you handed off some.
Hey, this
Yeah,
Mexican.
that was good.
lager is
Yeah, that was
good.
good stuff.
Yeah, Mexican lager is good. It's the correct use of lime. It's not overly limed. It's accented with lime, and that's good.
as Spencer Lamont would say about Cold Rush, the premium light lager from Great Lakes, great on a hot summer day. How about you?
Now, you got to say your name.
Nailed it.
It's part of it.
That's right. You got an ID out of the
Great
tag it at
on
the
a
end.
hot
Come
summer
on.
day, Spence Lamont sweating profusely.
Sweating and still sweating.
Well, that way it affects other people because if you come down here to visit, you might want some Great Lakes and you can't
That's
get
right.
it. So
Great Lakes. We got more people on a podcast that want to come to Tennessee to get your beer.
But once again, we can buy their beer here. So
I know.
Yeah, we can get it, Spence.
remember, it stops at the border of Kentucky and Tennessee.
well, what's going to happen? We're going to get a special Tennessee release when it comes here. It's going to be only available in
Yeah.
Tennessee. Then you'll have to come down here and get it.
What would it be like? Volunteer beer? I mean, it would be.
God, no, let's please no.
No, I'm kidding. No, it would
Yeehaw
have to
has
be
one of those.
the. No, actually, it would have to be the Brewery Underground podcast beer.
That's
true.
exactly what
We
it
would
is.
have to come up with our own style there, Scott.
That's it. Oh, we could make that happen overnight.
We could.
Yes. Speaking of which, I just transitioned to another beer. It's called Hollow Shore by Fela Force. And Steve, it's a West Coast Pils, not an IPA, but a Pils.
That's
So
okay.
we're all fans of Fela Force.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. We stumbled upon them, not really accidentally, when we were for our first visit last summer to Nashville. We kind of do research. Listen, this man does incredible research for a trip. It's awesome. But I'd done a search of different ones to look at, and then he kind of mapped it out. And I saw pictures online I was like, this looks like a cool place, you know, and unusual name. I was like, I'm going to put it on the list as a possibility. And it didn't really make our list per se, but it was on the reserve. And we were at Broadcast Brewing, and we were going to meet you guys for the first time ever. We met because I reached out to you guys when we were going to Nashville, and we were just friends on Instagram. And I just messaged you guys and said, hey, listen, we're going to make a trip down there. Where would you recommend we go? Because you're local experts down there. What do you think? And so we were going to meet you guys at Tennessee Brew Works. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yep. But we were broadcasting, and between there, we were early. So I was like, hey, Fela Force. I was like, yeah, it looked like a cool place. Let's stop in. Well, I'm so glad we did.
Yeah.
By the time we showed up, we're like, have you guys been to Fela Force? I'm sure you have. It's like, it's such a cool place.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys did too, that you could just discover it on your own like that. Because
Yeah.
we love it. This locals, man, we love them. We love going there, and I can find like new shit in the wild all the time too. So like I got this today. So they're everywhere, and they are fantastic.
My
Yeah.
one complaint is that they don't do flights.
Yeah.
Right?
They will do
Half pour.
half pours, you know. So I'll go there and just give me like 3 half pours.
Well, and when you guys came here, I mean, you and a couple of weeks ago, well, it'll be by the time this podcast airs, it'll be about a month and a half. But when you guys came here recently, we'll say that, is you hit a lot of the heavy hitters. And the day I was with you, I mean, we hit from Yazoo to Crazy Gnome to Living Waters to Fayetteville Force and Black Abbey.
Yeah.
And Scott and I were talking the other day. I'm like, you talk about going to places that are all different and
Yeah.
different beer styles.
Yes.
I mean, I was even joking the other day when I mentioned to you about Living Waters next, and you were like, "Is it good?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's just a little bit different because it's a coffee house that meets a brewery, and it is unique in that aspect. I mean, you could almost go in there during times of the year where they have the garage open and see people that might be sitting there on a computer drinking coffee, and then you got this crowd over here that's drinking craft beer, but the craft beer that they have is really, really good.
Yeah, it's that place was frustrating to me because it was cool looking, But you go up there and, I like to talk to the beer tender. I like to get their opinion on things and blah, blah, blah. And this guy's barista. He's like, I'm holding up the line. There's people that need their, chai lattes and all this stuff. So I was like, okay. And once again, they weren't offering a flight. So I kind of had to pick something. So it was nothing against the place, but I didn't like the process because there was a lot of people there for coffee.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to hang at a Starbucks. But then I sat down, and what really pissed me off was that the damn beers were so good. Process. I want to hate everything about, I can't do a flight, but damn it. And then somebody else like, hey, you want the rest of this? I was like, yeah. I was like, son of a bitch, this is delicious.
This is good too.
Yeah.
And they do everything from like a nice pills, like they do a good pills, and they do that barrel aged stuff, and they do that 10.1% stuff, which we laugh at because it's in Tennessee. It can't be more than 10.1% without having a distiller's license. But everything they do in their place is exactly 10.1, which is lovely. But they do a lot of those.
It's science.
You can get hammered in that place. Well, at least glad you got the experience.
Lost our satellite connection to Spence Lamont.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, guys. What's going on? Boy, this FM thing. Hey, this Riverside FM thing. Well, it takes me a while to get used to. I was on Teams. Were you on Teams?
I had to run outside and check the antenna, make sure it was still working.
You pointed at a certain place in the sky, get it just right.
You got it routed to your fax machine. So I was asking you guys, you've been to a lot of breweries now in Nashville, but like I always do, I always have a list. What's your list of places that you're going, still going to get to? Which ones? Do you know?
That we haven't been to yet?
Yeah.
Well, Half Batch is definitely up there.
Yes. And then Tenfold.
Yeah, Tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we want to get back to that. May be the only, I don't know. I'd have to look again.
In 2 trips, we've hit most everything we originally had on our list.
Get back to like Bearded Iris, Southern Grist.
As we've talked before, listen, we didn't have the best experience at Southern Grist, and everyone I've ever talked to loves it. Great. But it happened to be like on a weekend night, and they were doing trivia inside. It was packed, and we sat outside, and it wasn't the best circumstances to go to Southern Grist. So I'd like to try them again. And Bearded Iris, once again, the one we went to is the one that's like you said, it's like an Asian restaurant that sells beers. But we like their beers, and like sometimes one of our local breweries has them as a guest beer, and we always like it. So it's just I'd like to give those. The vibes weren't great at either place when we went there, so I don't want that to affect the beer. So we definitely want to revisit both.
Yeah, please do. It's a shame because I like that Bearded Iris better, the one on the west side, because they actually have beers in there that the other one does not have, and that they only have in that location. So
and we passed the other one when we went to Monday night.
Yeah,
which is a phenomenal location. I mean, boy, tap room is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So
hopefully, they bring. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was going to say there's something else. So we went from Monday night to Blackstone, which wasn't far from there.
No, you guys through the construction zones of Germantown.
Yeah. Good Lord, Brad, your brother lives over in like Cool Springs or Franklin area, right?
They did for a long time, but in the last 2 years, they've lived in Westnet, that like close to Bellevue. Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they're less than a mile from Tailgate.
Yeah, the original.
That's kind of the home place, which we didn't get to this weekend.
Yeah, we were
that weekend.
We're like, you know what? And at the end of the night, we're just going to stop at Tailgate because it's right there. And so we're like, yeah. And so we pull up, and there's one car in the parking lot. We're like, well, that's not normal. And there's a sign on the door that says they lost power.
Yeah. Power.
So was that the night? Was that because we were at Fayetteville Force, and you guys were going to go there because I ended up going home that night because that's on the other side of town of me. Did you guys not make it there that night?
That was Friday before.
We kind of tapped out Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were full, but that was Friday when we were going to go to Tailgate. And
yeah,
it was the goal was just dinner, pizza, and beer to end the night. Didn't get to do it, but we'll be back because
that's when we close. Instead we substituted Fat Bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it.
That's right.
The beers weren't amazing, but I found one I really liked. and the food was really
It's
good.
just another cool place too, man. In Nashville, like you all know this, there are these kind of things all over, not just in downtown and heavily populated, but anywhere you go now, you can find places like that, and it's just
Right.
It's an amazing city, that's for sure.
And Fat Bottom is one where they started in East Nashville in a tiny little spot, and then they upgraded completely to that spot. Like you said, it's really nice campus.
Mhm.
The outside area is nice. They got like a next door is which is an overflow, but it's like a venue space too. So
Yep.
yeah, food's always been phenomenal. I think they have like a real chef back there. They don't do a lot of new stuff. Like I don't see a lot of new stuff from Fat Bottom, but I do enjoy going in there from time to
And I
time.
can't remember. Have you guys been to New Heights and Jackalope yet?
Jackalope,
Yes.
yes. New Heights, no. That's
Okay.
the one that.
What's the listen? The Bear Walker could have been my favorite beer on our first trip to Nashville. That was good.
Yeah, well, it's got maple syrup and it's like a brown ale with maple syrup in it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. There's another one, and I don't know if you got it on your radar, and it's hard because it's the only one in that area, but it's called Curio, and it's out in Franklin, which is why I was asking about where your brother lived, Brad. But it's the only one out there. It's the only brewery out in Franklin, so it's not difficult to get to, but it's the only thing you can do when you're out there. Really, there's a tap room or two you can go to, but it's another one. But it's a good little spot. Steve, have you been out there yet?
No, it so
Okay.
eluded me. Curio. I need to get there.
So if you're running out of places to go in Nashville, like new stuff, maybe throw that on your list too if it hasn't been on your radar.
Yeah, that's where you're starting to get in the sweet spot of, like we kind of make an annual trip to Cincinnati, and now we've made an annual trip to Nashville. And you got to find that balance of what haven't we tried, and we're only here once a year, maybe. So we got to hit these places again, and you got to find that balance. Cincinnati's like that because my daughter lives in Cincinnati, so I go up there all the time, and I'm like, there's certain ones I just absolutely want to hit every time I go up there.
You got to. We're
Yeah.
just saying, like you're gonna hit Rheingeist. All right, we love Mad Tree. Those places. Like they're always gonna be on the list.
And Rheingeist, look, haters gonna hate. I get it. They're big. They're a huge dog, big dog. You got to hate the big dog. I get it. But if you are a craft beer lover, if you love going to breweries, the minute you walk through that doorway, it's like a kid walking into Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
That giant stone hall is just, you just like, I want to stay here all day. And then you're like, oh, let's go up to the roof garden. It's like, and then you walk up there. It's like, wait a minute, this is a whole different thing. I'll stay up
Whole nother
here all
world.
day.
Yes.
Yeah, I just equated to when you walk in the Rheingeist, for me, it feels like you're at some place that's extremely different and someplace special.
Yeah.
I mean, right away, it has that feel that not a ton of breweries do, where you just go in and you're like, yeah, okay. Now I'm at someplace, you know.
I mean, you got a place with so much going on, and there's like 6 sets of cornhole boards right in the middle of the room because there's not much room.
The place is that big, and you couldn't hit the damn ceiling with the beanbag if you wanted to.
You're right. Yes.
Like it's. I mean, it's insane how big it is. I think my exact words when I walked through that door the first way, and I remember it, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Like you don't even know from the outside it's that big. You have no idea.
Me
it's like
too.
that.
It was, So, look, the beers are, and they got a huge selection of beers, and sometimes they're just okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good, really good, but it's the kind of place that's like, you know what? I'll find something I like. I'm just going to hang here.
You will.
All
You
the
will.
time.
Scott and Steve.
Yes, and then
Yeah,
sometimes
I know.
the Scotty and the Steve are on the board.
Now
That's right.
Now they also need an AKA Spence Lamont beer there,
Spence
right?
Lamont beer.
Maybe that's the next Great
Mother.
Lakes, the first Great Lakes Tennessee beer.
Stout Lamont.
Stout
Spence
Lamont.
Lamont.
Stout Lamont.
And
I love it.
by the way, guys, the reason that we didn't talk about Spence Lamont on the other two podcasts, the takeover, is because you guys weren't here, and you guys could only do it justice by joining us and being a part of that, because you were a part of that and still are.
Yeah, listen, I remember, when we first met you guys in Nashville, we just connected via suggestions, and you're just like, oh yeah, hey, I tell you what, we can meet you on this day at this place. And we're like, awesome, yeah. So, we packed up we went and built some beers from local Louisville breweries to bring to you as a peace offering, and we met you guys there, but we never talked to you guys before that day, and we instantly kind of hit it off so well. Instantly, it's like, we're like, hey, you want to go to Marble Fox with us? It's right over here. We're like, yeah, we're just gonna throw our plans out the window. Let's go. And we went over there, and and we ended up hanging so long. Scott got in trouble because he was ignoring other plans he already had.
Yeah, I do that a lot, but
yeah, but we were just having such a good time. We just weren't going to call it quits, man. It was it was a good time. So. And like I said, we go to Cincinnati, and it's a lot closer for us. And when we found out you all were going every year, we were like, hey, mind if we just jump in for a couple days? And
yeah,
and I tell you, we couldn't have had a better time. Yeah. I mean,
I agree.
We're four guys of a certain age, and I think we just kind of get along that way.
Absolutely, it's this. We love it. We love beer, and we love the brewery adventures for the same reasons you guys do. It's the same thing. We want to go to new places. And we want to get as many as we can. Sometimes if we can, and enjoy the experiences too. And you guys coming along. And I'll tell you what, Narrow Path, and Steve and I talked about this on that recap of that trip. Man, we went to several places together, but that Narrow Path was about perfect. Was about freaking perfect.
Like I said, I told you my daughter lives up in Cincinnati, and her boyfriend is from Loveland, Ohio. So that's why I first learned about Narrow Path, was kind of when we were kind of Googling different. I knew that was in Loveland, but we were going to Sonder for the first time together. And I was like, you know what? It's like 4.5 miles from there is Narrow Path. Why don't we scoot on over and give it a shot? So we went one time, and we just, with our friend Mike, and we just enjoyed the hell out of it. So that's why I kept saying, I was like, have you all been to Narrow Path? You gotta, if you're going to Sonder, there's no reason not to just jump over to Narrow Path. And you're not kidding. We sat out there when we went the first time, it was colder. So we were indoors. I didn't even know about the back area. That back area is amazing.
Terrific.
That was the thing. We had a perfect weather day.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things too where, up there are so many breweries. I mean, there's breweries within a rock throw of each other, almost literally sometimes. And as we said, I mean, we're kind of guys where we may hit, 4 or 5 breweries in a day. And then you got to map out where you're going to go next, where you're going to check off next, especially if you haven't been there. And so a couple times we went to Sonder over the years, we did that. And then the second time we went to Sonder, after that, we were with our friends from Cleveland, and we ended up going to MPH, which was not that far from there either. So, had to check that one off. So I was glad that when you guys were going to come up, because we had Narrow Path in our sights of going to, and it was like when you mentioned it, we're like, yeah, we got to get there.
Well, I give listen, I feel like we shepherded you to Narrow Path, but you guys shepherded us to Listerman.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, right now, I say that Listerman probably has what I think are the best beers in the Cincinnati area.
Oh, good, because I'm thirsty.
Wow. I don't have any.
Wow.
This is not a segue.
Oh, I thought it was.
I'm just going to the.
God, it was a perfect
beer.
segue. What? That's just
We're talking about Cincinnati, so we need Cincinnati. Your fridge. You have your choice. You know what? You don't have a choice. You're going to take the wooden cask. Let's hear it for wooden cask.
Yes, the new porter.
Yeah, it keeps getting kind of.
I haven't had that one either.
And I'm going to take one of my favorite Mad Tree beers. It's an IPA. It's the Scene Color Tropical Hazy IPA.
Yeah.
Before we go much further down the road, Tom, can you talk about that story you told us about Narrow Path when you took your daughter's boyfriend there one time when he came back from a dentist appointment or something?
Here's what happened. So I can't remember. It had to be around Christmas or something, because like I said,
it was.
Yeah, so it was around Christmas, but it just so happened to be like a time where me, Brad, and our friend Mike could go up there. So, but my daughter had come home for like Christmas, and so, she'd been home for like most of a week, and then I was like, look, I know this is going to be weird, but I'm going to Cincinnati while you're here. And so, cause it's when we can do it. She's like, oh, I completely understand. Now her boyfriend, he didn't come down for Christmas or anything because he had he's like 25, but he just had his wisdom teeth taken out. And so he was actually staying at his parents' house in Loveland while he was recovering from wisdom teeth surgery. So we go up there, and I was like, hey, let's go to Narrow Path. Great. And on our drive to Narrow Path, it just occurred to me. I was like, listen, do you think it'd be really funny if I texted him, because he can't, it's Loveland. He can't live far from Nero. I was like, if he came down and we took a bunch of pictures, like he's partying with us while she's in Louisville, and she would never see that coming. Because listen, my daughter, she's a playwright. She's got an amazing sense of humor. She loves a good bit, right? So I texted him, and he's like, absolutely. So we get there, and we got flights and everything. He walks in, and he, he's on medication. He's not going to drink, but he shows up. And he gets there, and we do a whole photo shoot. I was like, okay, now you act like you're passed out, and we're all going to be making fun of you. It's like, then you act like you're like looking at what's wrong with these guys, and we'll all be passed out. You just get like every photo imaginable, and I just start sending them to her, and she's like, "What the hell?" Gotta love it.
When did she figure out the joke, or did you have to tell her, or did she just figure it out?
Oh no! Are you kidding me? I said, hey, we're going to
she's smarter than him.
It's like, yeah, it's like, we're going to go to Narrow Path. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I just start sending her pictures like he's just hanging out with us. And then he went back home. That was it. But
Hey man, he was in on the bit. He probably felt like shit or had the meds going, but that was a great stunt.
Yeah. It was actually, he wasn't even driving. His parents dropped him off.
That's funny.
True, that's funny.
I want to do this.
I think too, part of that on that particular trip there in our first time, and the brewer was creating, he was doing a bourbon barrel thing.
Right. Well, we told him,
y'all are from Kentucky. So,
you get to talking to people behind the bar, and it's like, oh yeah, listen, we're up here just to hit a bunch of breweries and we wanted to try this place. Well, he instantly, as being like I don't know if he was the owner, brewer, or both, but he was like, that's awesome, cause he, wants kind of tourism. And so we sit over there with our flights, and all of a sudden he comes over with like 3 extra samples. And he's like, hey, you're from Kentucky. I did this barrel age thing. And so he sat down with us. That's the best part about going to breweries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you went to Living Waters, it is, if you just start striking up a conversation with someone, man, you never know where it's going to lead.
Right. On our first time we went to Nashville, listen, once again, we're the Hilltappers. So on our way, we passed Bowling Green, and we hadn't been to Bowling Green together almost probably since college. So we stopped, and there was one real brewery in Bowling Green called White Squirrel. And so we're like, well, let's go there. But we went over and we got some pictures on campus, just some fun pictures of, the 2 old men on campus. And we stopped in there, and we were talking to him, and we talked to the brewer, who he's one of those guys. It's like, he's so much fun that you're like, this guy shouldn't own a business. There's this guy seems like he's partying too hard to own a business, but they're killing it. They're being really the own game in town. And so we got all these flights, and their flights have like 5 on them. They're squirrel shaped boards, and good beers. But then he cause all of a sudden he's like, we told him our deal. He's like, that's fantastic. He's like, what did you get on your flights? And we told him, and everything we didn't get, he sat down 3 samples of absolutely everything we didn't get on the flights.
Amazing.
I was like, we still have to drive to Nashville.
You get to talk to someone like that, and you get the right person, and they love to talk about that stuff. You know what I mean? They want to share those things. They want to say, here, try this and try all our stuff. You love that. We were at Fabled, and it wasn't exactly the same thing, but we got to talk to the bartender. He just kept bringing out stuff. Here, try this one. Here, try this one. And it was okay.
All the mead.
All the mead.
Oh, those meads.
That's a t-shirt.
If a brewer isn't like that, then he's not passionate about what he does. She's not passionate about what they do.
And
that's why
I think
so much.
There's probably people that come, like Steve and I walked in. I think there was, and we walked into Fabled. We were the only ones in there at the time. And I think he's probably like, oh, these fucking 2 dummies coming in at 1:00 in the afternoon. And then, and about 5 minutes in, we struck up a conversation, and it was just great, And he was like,
and he was opening up the back, let us take pictures of their back area and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really cool. He was very welcoming to us.
And I think when you speak the language a little bit.
And the first time I'd been to Fabled, I went like the year they opened, one of my trips up to see my daughter, and they didn't even have that back area. They didn't own it yet. They just recently bought that and kind of expanded back there. So when you sent us the photos that you went there, I was like, this doesn't look like the same room. This is kind of weird. And then when I went there, I could see like they have a entryway at the bar. You can kind of see the back room from there. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
it. I was like, how do you get back there? And they're like, it's a new area back there. And that's super cool. The clouds with the lightning, and they just really
I
lean
love
into
that.
their theme.
Yeah.
Everything, like even in the bathroom, when you went in the bathroom, it was like pages of the book was the wallpaper of books. I mean, just everything, every detail was accounted for.
Yeah, they're off the beaten path. They're in like an industrial park in Erlanger, Kentucky, but it's worth the drive.
It is
Yeah.
very much worth the drive. Yeah.
It is totally.